Well, good evening. Just a wrap up of the council meeting for the City of Grand Rapids for the 28th of November. The year is winding down quickly, but quick meeting this afternoon. Work session was very quick as well. The fire department was in to continue the discussion that was started 2 weeks ago when we looked at the fire relief and benefits that are owed to firefighters once they complete 10 years first, as they got to get vested, but from 10 to 20 years of service on the fire department, how we compensate them long-term going forward. As a result of that discussion 2 weeks ago, some follow-up discussion this afternoon, it came through and we had a great feedback of where the fund is sitting at 132% after the additional payout. It was moved to approve that, and that came forward on the consent agenda this evening. After that, Barb Baird came in, gave us a little bit of a wrap-up of where we are from a tax standpoint and a levy standpoint. Most of you received your tax statements, a preliminary one from the county out there, and you got an opportunity to see where not only your county taxes and your school district tax, but the city tax was sitting at. We will be down slightly from what was sent out on the city tax side, so that's a positive. What you saw last week is when we received ours at our house, so I'm assuming that most people got their tax statements last week as well. On the city portion of it, if you are in the city, you will see just a slight reduction on what was in there. A couple of other things from the consent agenda that I just wanted to touch on. As we bond for projects in the city of Grand Rapids, sometimes we have the ability that people come in and they pay their assessments off early, and then as a result of that, or projects come in under cost. We had a 2013 bonded project that came in, actually 4 projects that year, and they came in at under cost. What was estimated to be the cost and what we bonded for was actually less than that, and then we had the ability to take those funds and roll them over and actually end up being a positive benefit to the city of Grand Rapids. So as we've done in the past, we will continue to do in the future, and we did that with this year with the 2013B GO bonding requests, and that we move them funds forward into another fund account, and it's going to end up, I think Barb said, a positive of about $60,000 on the budgeted side for that project. We also approved a revised airport land lease agreement between the City of Grand Rapids and Med Valley. We've talked about that before as well. We have a fixed wing service out there to do ambulatory and or organ transplants in positions where the helicopter flight or Lifelink cannot get a person moved or an organ moved. Valley Med can do that. So they've been in town now. We are looking forward to a long and a strong relationship with Valley Med as they provide services in that area, and they look at expansion out at the airport with a new hangar at some point in time in 2017. You'll hear me talking about Valley Med coming forward and building a hangar out there versus leasing from the City of Grand Rapids for space. I talked about the fire department one. We also authorized city staff to begin advertising to fill in some new recruits on the fire department to build that eligibility list. So they will be having that advertisement out there. So if you're young and with a strong back, whether you're a guy or a gal, and that's something that interests you, doing public service in the area of fire call work, please apply through the City of Grand Rapids. And we look forward to successful candidates coming in as interim or startup firefighters on the fire department at some point in time. We approved a land lease with Stan Bastianich. That was all in relationship to what we'd talked about before, moving some hangar space around. We had done some work with the project here a couple of weeks ago when we talked about ACE with the manufacturing out there. Stan Bastianich's hangar is going to be a hangar that we will lease, and we will in turn lease out to that company in the process of building the parts and the tail sections for the jet aircraft that they produce down in Albuquerque. So we finished that portion that needed to be handled. We moved forward with the community pavilion. We moved that forward to consent agenda this afternoon. If you've got a chance, go over by the IRA Civic Center and you go on that north side, you'll see the work that's being done there. The metal for the pavilion was in on Wednesday of last week. Our expectations are that the boards will be up and the metal, the framework will be up, the roof will be on, and we will have that rink flooded and operational sometime between December 16th and the holidays. So we're really excited as we go forward. We will continue to look at ways that we can improve that facility. And thanks to all of the businesses out there and the individuals that contributed. We're running a project there that is going to, I think when all said and done, it's going to be in excess of $1 million, of which literally 80% of those funds were derived from the public support of maintaining the ability to have larger tournaments in Grand Rapids, which is good from a business standpoint, but at the same time allowing ice time out there for our own programs to thrive and to be successful. It's no good to have skilled tournament teams coming into the community if you don't have skilled players in order to compete against them. So this was a big step for the Hockey Association, for Graham, and partnering with businesses around town in the city of Grand Rapids on that fundraiser. So as we have in the past, I've been out there and I've advocated a strong thank you to everyone who has contributed to that project, and we look forward to seeing some positive results from the squirts all the way up through the high school level from the standpoint of open skating and practice facilities there. And lastly, just want to touch on, we had a joint ownership. Rangeline Road, as you're headed towards Cohasset, goes off into the Hawkinson Pit. The city of Cohasset has a business that's building out in their industrial park. And in efforts of expanding and creating access to that road back there, they went into partnership with the city of Grand Rapids on the ownership of that road and an extension of the road back to where they would tie in from the Cohasset Industrial Park to the Rangeline Road and then out to Highway 2. So once again, a positive. When you take a look at cooperation and collaborating between two communities, we have worked very well with the Cohasset City Council and the Grand Rapids Council on partnerships in different areas, whether it's on public works use, whether it's on cemeteries, now it's on road maintenance and construction to serve a business in the Cohasset area. Those are the type of things that we feel strongly that we can work with, whether it's the city of Cohasset, the city of La Prairie, Bovey, Coleraine, or the townships that surround us. Those are the things that we continue to try to do that will help to hold the overall costs, not only of the city of Grand Rapids, but out in those outlying townships and other communities down, so that we can provide the most and the best services we can for all of our residents, not just the Grand Rapids residents, but Cohasset can provide services for theirs as well. As I said at the end of the meeting, we have 3 council meetings in a row, so instead of my normal, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll be back here a week from tonight, and then we will be back 1 week after that. Next Monday, we'll have Truth and Taxation. If you get an opportunity, you have a concern, and you want to come in and talk about your property tax statement and what the implications are, please feel free to come in. That's the perfect time to do that. We will allow plenty of time and give everyone access to voicing their thoughts as it relates to the statements and stuff they got. And then 1 week after that, we will do our final budgeted levy that we will pass and certify going out into 2017. Hopefully, if you're hearing this, you've survived the storm. Jeff Davies was in and gave a little bit of a wrap-up. The city of Grand Rapids worked hard, many hours, over several hundred hours of excess overtime that was put in to try and keep the streets clear. We had about 18 inches of snow starting on Friday of the holiday weekend there, and it was a bugger. When you got the National Weather Service coming in from Atlanta and picking the city of Grand Rapids as the heart of the storm to do their filming for spots nationally, it's one thing to have a snowstorm, and it's a second thing to have them come in. But I think on the positive side of some of this, I look at the publicity that we got as the city of Grand Rapids. They started broadcasting at 5:30 in the morning, and we did our last broadcast for the Weather Channel at 6:30 that night, and we had various people in and talking. So we got to highlight and show how we do things in the Northland, how we move snow, how we are acclimated to a quick change in the weather. So I think that was a positive, and at some point in time, I think that will pay off some benefits. So the streets are pretty clear out there right now. They are a little wet from the standpoint we've gone from snow to rain, which is a little strange. You would not expect it to be quite that way, but it is what it is in Grand Rapids, and we look forward, as I said, to visiting with you in a week. Take care and drive careful.